Welcome to Right Here, a podcast about mental health, connection, and what it means to be human. I'm Christopher Mooney.
And I'm Kenyon Phillips. Each episode, we unpack the psychological patterns that shape our relationships, our sense of self, and the way we move through the world.
No jargon, no judgment, just thoughtful conversations that invite us to come back to the present moment.
Because when we're right here with ourselves and right here with each other, something shifts.
We get a little clearer, a little more regulated, a little more right.
Right Here is a podcast partnership with WPKN 89.5 FM in Bridgeport, streaming online at WPKN.org and via our free listening apps. Welcome to part 2 of the Inner Critic, where we break down what our inner critic is, where it comes from, why we believe it, and how to start relating to it differently. I hear that from clients all the time. They think that they're too much.
Everybody thinks they're too much. And what's so fascinating, and if you're listening and you think you're too much, how often those are also the people who are really hiding and barely putting themselves out there.
100%.
And that's it because of that inner critic. I'm too much. They suddenly fall into this space of not wanting to connect, not putting themselves out, falling into the same old patterns of unhealthy relationships and people who are just not available because, those are the people that will accept me, or those are the people that will take me in.
And being afraid to put yourself out there.
Right.
Absolutely.
And you talked about this in recovery too, right? Mm-hmm. In kind of the recovery angle of like that, the inner critic kind of maybe attacking progress.
Oh yeah.
Oh look, you put a couple days together, or you haven't had a drink. Like you're gonna fail. You're gonna screw this up. You're gonna drink again, or relapse, or use, or whatever it might be.
Absolutely. And yes, statistically speaking, relapse is part of recovery. So many of us relapse, and if you had 2 years before you relapsed, you can put the focus on that and say,
right.
Okay, I did this before. I can do it again.
Yeah.
Maybe I can go longer.
Yeah.
But it is. But yeah, absolutely. The inner critic says, one day at a time, forget that.
Right.
You either fail or you don't.
Yeah. Kenyon, you're in your past life and currently you're a musician.
Yeah.
An artist.
So are you.
Yeah. I'm going to throw that inner critic out there and be like, what a poor one at that. No, for me, not you. But that inner critic shuts. And I'm wondering if that was experienced too, and other musicians as well, right? We hear about this, that it shuts down ideas before they even start, right?
Absolutely.
Who do you think you are? How are you going to do this?
Oh, totally. I know so many musicians who actually need to get high before they can enter a creative space, because otherwise their inner critic's voice is too loud. So they need to use weed or alcohol or other substances to just kind of quiet those voices. For me, absolutely, I was terrified of failing, and that's really hard to get started if you are governed by that sort of perfectionism paralysis to begin with.
Yeah.
And hell yeah, I was awful when I started. Terrible. But I had the exuberance, I had the chutzpah to just create despite that. And that doesn't just go for creative endeavors or music. It goes for anything.
Sure.
Any new skill.
Yeah.
We have to suck at first. And inner critic, if you listen to inner critic when you're starting something new, trying something new, you will not do anything. You will hide in shame.
You will hide in shame. And that is where now all of the stuff we're exposed to online becomes really dangerous, because we see everybody else doing something really well. Mm-hmm. Why can't I do it that way just to start?
Oh God.
Why? So I've talked to you probably way too much about fly fishing.
But never enough, really.
Really? Is there ever enough fishing? Fly fishing is so hard. It is so hard, and it looks kind of hard. But to actually get the line out and the cast correct, and you have to know, and the trout are so fickle and annoying and lazy at the same time, and it is just, this is what I love about fly fishing, is that you are faced with this constantly. But I went out and I started learning last year, and it was And I went in the backyard and I was like, yeah, I can cast. And I've watched all these videos online of these people from like Orvis and all these like fly fishing companies like showing you how to like start your cast. And I was like, dude, I can go do that. Awful. I have spent more time cutting my line out of trees than I have actually getting it in the water for a year. But you know what? I have to keep going back and doing more and more and more.
Well, you and everyone else.
Yeah.
Who honestly tries something.
But now when I look at fly fishing videos online, I look at everybody just doing their beautiful casts.
Right.
And I look at other fishermen on the river and they're killing it.
Right.
But they're also like 75 years old and they're decked out and they've probably been doing it for 35, 40 years.
That's the thing.
And I've been doing it for 6 months realistically because we don't fish in the winter.
Totally. And I'll bet after 6 months you were better than when you first started.
Yeah, but then I stopped for the winter. So now I'm going to go back to it. But that's okay. It's practice.
Yeah. But again, like comparison trap.
Yeah.
Comparing our messy insides to somebody else's polished, perfectly curated outsides is a losing game.
That's right.
It's not going to make us feel good.
No.
And it's also not realistic.
It's not realistic. And by the way, this is actually the cost of the inner critic.
Absolutely.
So when we think about it, so we actually won't take risks now and we won't try new things because we're afraid of that failure, because we're afraid of taking that chance and trying something.
Right.
And that means new jobs, or maybe we talk ourselves out of getting a job, or, hey, I don't have that skill set, so I'm not even going to bother. Or creative projects, or even conversations with people.
Yeah.
I can't go talk to that person.
That is a very real phenomenon at parties even.
Mm-hmm.
Say you've been invited to a dinner party or a small group of people. It's been curated. Everyone's there because they're friends with the host, and the host probably figured everyone would get along. I've experienced, and I'm extroverted, I've experienced like almost a fear of pulling back of like, I can't get into a conversation with that person.
Yeah. Rarely also have you probably gotten into a conversation with somebody and been like, yeah, that was just, it was just, you just stood there and stared at each other. That would be awkward.
Never. They're always great.
There's typically something we can all connect on.
Yeah.
Typically.
Yeah.
If not, just talk about the weather.
Totally.
Or I'll just talk your ear off about fly fishing.
Which, hey, I can never get enough of that.
Or hiking.
Absolutely.
Or fly fishing and hiking. Or eggplant parm. I had to get it in there today because it's
every
been going
episode.
through my mind. Yeah, I think it's our thing.
It's our Easter egg.
It's our.
But the other costs around this are, you just pointed out, if we're not engaging anybody in conversation, then we're alone, we're isolated, we're alienated.
Yeah. Which is our biggest fear.
Which is the biggest
Which causes
fear.
us to be more alone and isolated because then we live in that fear. So that critic is making us alone.
The irony is not lost on me.
No. It robs us from joy.
Absolutely.
And we've talked before about joy. We talked with our colleague Andrew Tepper about finding joy in recovery.
Totally.
And I know he talks about that a lot. I think that if our inner critic, it robs us of the ability to actually really feel that we've earned something, and we can really kind of like bask in it for a few.
When my inner critic is on point, which is all the time, there's a sense that I don't have the right to rest or relax or enjoy anything, as you said.
I've been hearing this a lot lately, this idea like where I can't rest, and people have talked about this. I feel guilty if I'm resting. I feel guilty if I'm taking a break.
There's actually a book, an AA book from probably the 50s or the 60s called "When I Relax, I Feel Guilty!" Exclamation point. It is totally useful.
Yeah, that's my live, laugh, love, actually. It's when I relax, I feel good. This is so bad, and I'm going to give you a personal anecdote to this. Friday was the holiday, the observed holiday for July 4th.
Right.
I had clients scheduled until 2:30 p.m., maybe at 2 or 3:30, on a Friday before the holiday. And I was here, and I worked, and I finished at 3:30, and I closed my computer, and I called my wife, and I said, I'm done. I can come home. And she was like, great, we've got stuff, we can like hang out. It was just like, let's just come home and hang out.
Yeah.
Kids are off from school, like all this stuff. And for like 2 hours, I was like, nervous. I was like looking around for something to do. I kept checking my phone. I was like, oh my God, are clients okay? Do I have to work? So I'm missing something. I had this like crushing fear that I was missing out on something because I wasn't working and I was
You were dropping the ball.
And my wife kept saying like, stop, like you're allowed to rest. It's 3 hours. You would have ended at like 5 or 6 today anyway because it was a Friday. But I couldn't. I couldn't. I felt really guilty that I was going to take an extra 2 hours off.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Inner critic cracking the
whip. It was. Yeah. No, my inner critic drives it is for anybody who knows me. I try to keep it at like the outward facing probably a bit, but if people really know me, they know it's like it is. You know this. You see that my perfectionism all the time. That 100%. Is my critic of like the lights have to be right, the microphone has to be right, like everything. It's so specific.
I mean, you pull perfectionism off pretty well. I am perfectionistic and I suck. So it's just like...
Are you saying I'm perfect at perfectionism?
Really losing battle. You're much better at it than I am.
I want to be perfect at it, though.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'm always here to make you feel better.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's why I hired you.
Thank you.
It is really... I hope I can only return the favor.
In spades.
And buckets full.
Speaking of mental health, there's a mental health cost with the inner critic, which is that it can fuel depression.
Absolutely.
Perpetuate depression, anxiety, the shame that we keep going back to. And we talk about negative self-talk. What if it's obsessive negative self-talk? What if it's like a loop that you just can't turn off?
It's always an obsessive. The inner critic is an obsessive process.
Yeah.
It has to be. Because we're so afraid of being attacked that we have to, where it's control. And the more I do it, the more it gets, the more I kind of reassure myself that it's the right thing.
Right.
The more I do it, the more it's reassured. The more I do it, the more it's reassured.
Right.
And you go through that loop. The feedback loop becomes so small that it is just a constant voice in somebody's head saying whatever the criticism is.
Right.
And that ends up what it kind of feeds that over and over.
Yeah. There's a really dangerous, I think, almost permutation of the inner critic that I just want to call out because I fall victim to it often. It's false modesty almost, like, or a sense of like, oh, you're just being humble. Like having an inner critic means like, somebody who can't take a compliment.
That's right.
And it's this, I think a lot of us when we're younger, it's like, we'd do something good, we'd do something well, and we'd be told by somebody, well, don't, just because you did that well, don't get a big head.
Right. Yeah, you better keep yourself in check.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, you sound arrogant.
Yeah, you're only as good as your last one, buddy. That kind of a thing. Heaven forbid we develop any self-esteem or self-confidence. And so as a result of trying to sort of not be arrogant and not look like a, conceited jerk, we let the inner critic take over.
You said something really interesting that resonated with me, and that's that we can't take a compliment. And people who really struggle with this inner critic, this negativity, this voice, I think really have a hard time hearing a compliment. And we all might be those people, or we know those people who if you give somebody a compliment, they immediately shoot it down.
Refute it, yeah.
Yeah. No, it wasn't that. That's not humility, by the way. That's actually low self-esteem.
Yeah.
That is a lack of confidence. Humility means that you're not going around and bragging about it, that you can walk with a confidence through the world. And there's a realism to that, right? There's an understanding where you are in the world and where your place is in the world. I think this other experience, this thing where if you're shooting down compliments, that's not humility. That's actually you giving into your inner critic.
And some people would argue that like low self-esteem is the highest form of arrogance in a way. Have you ever experienced the pain of trying to give somebody you really care about a compliment and having them be utterly unable to accept it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. It actually causes
it is
the
painful.
person pain who's
It is
trying
painful.
to give a compliment.
Because you actually feel their suffering.
Yeah.
You can feel it, and we've talked about being heard and having our voices heard and everything. It's almost like a disregard for what we see in that person.
Mm-hmm.
But then it hurts us to see them hurt, because if somebody can't take a compliment, somebody we love can't take a compliment, then it's kind of like, on the surface it can be veiled as humility or whatever it might be, but it really, I think underneath it we really do feel the pain and the suffering that they are, because there's empathy, there's 100%. A connection to that person. Totally. And so you actually feel that, like, oh God, are they really in that place where they can't hear this? Mm-hmm. Are they in the place that they can't accept this, that they can't accept that I feel this way about them? That's really painful for both people, actually.
Absolutely. And that's where the arrogance comes in to play, because it's almost like they're saying they know. If I give you a compliment mm-hmm. and you refuse it, you refuse to accept it, you're saying that I'm an idiot.
It could be, right? or that you don't get it.
Yeah.
Right. We go through this a lot when you constantly tell me about the music thing, and I always put myself down about it. And I know you kind of look at me every time. You're like, dude, stop. And I see that look from you.
Well, you play the banjo. Dude, anybody who plays the banjo can't be entirely awful at it. I mean, like, it takes discipline, and it takes fingering and things that I don't do. I'm a musician I was a lead singer. I would plunk tunes out on the piano. I was never a good instrumentalist. I figured out early on, thank God, to hire much better musicians, to play with. But no, there's nothing mediocre about
it is
about studying a musical instrument.
It is for such an old and basic concept. It is a very difficult instrument to play.
Really hard.
I mean, it's not the harp by any means, but it is, but it is. It's out there. It can be out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, but going back, like that idea of like, and I'd love for everybody to practice this. Practice giving somebody a compliment and seeing what the reaction is. Mm-hmm. But also, if someone pays you a compliment, just say thank you. Don't say thank you, but don't add some kind of disclaimer to it. Don't quantify it. Just say thank you.
Absolutely.
When people compliment you, say thank you. Thank you for noticing that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that you noticed that.
And if it's hard to do, you're not alone.
That's right. Everybody struggles with that. Yeah. Everybody. Except for narcissists.
They love it.
They
can't get enough.
Give them more. They'll actually compliment themselves for you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Oh, it's so true.
It's a colleague of mine. That's what he said. How do you know you're dealing with a narcissist? Is that they'll just tell you that they're a narcissist, and most narcissists will. I'm a narcissist. That's what people will tell you if they are truly narcissistic.
Really?
Yeah, they'll tell you. They'll tell you how important they are. Of course.
But they'll actually define it as narcissism?
Most of the time, they'll tell you, yeah, so what? Because it's not their problem. It's your problem. It's a personality issue. And we don't really separate things out like that anymore. Yeah. But like we used to look at things like, but most personality disorders, and I don't want to call it that, so let's reframe it. Issues with disorders of the self.
Okay.
So personality issues. Borderline personality, narcissistic personality, obsessive compulsive personality disorders, which is different than regular obsessive compulsive disorder. These, cluster A and cluster B kind of personality issues. The narcissistic ones, the more kind of like, they're ego-syntonic. And so we look at mental health issues as ego dystonic and ego syntonic. If somebody's depressed, bipolar, or struggling with bipolar disorder, or has depression, or they are dealing with mania, right? it's not mania, it's bipolar disorder, or anxiety. Those are ego dystonic, which means they know that they struggle with it and it feels bad and it hurts them.
Okay.
And they know other people are struggling to be around them also.
So there's the awareness.
There's awareness and it hurts, and it doesn't feel good to the ego.
Okay.
Ego syntonic means that it's not my problem. It feels fine. And that's so obsessive compulsive personality disorder and obsessive compulsive disorder are really it's a great example because it exists in both kind of like organically and non-organic kind of like phenomenon. Meaning, if somebody has obsessive compulsive disorder, it is an anxiety-based disorder that is so ego dystonic it hurts them. They struggle every day just to get out of the house because of the things that they have to go through, the thoughts or the rituals, right? It is life interfering. It interferes with their life. Right. Ego syntonic things do not interfere with their life. If somebody has the personality issue or the personality disorder around obsessive compulsive disorder, it's everybody else's problem that they can't fix their life and function in a way that makes sense to my order.
Oh, okay.
So I know that was a lot. So it's really about, does it interfere with your life or does it interfere with other people's lives? Right. Is it other people's issue or my issue?
Right.
And that's how we really kind of define these two things. So yeah, that is how narcissism also works, which we will go into a whole episode.
Yeah, we will have it.
There'll be let me tell you about me. Kind of that's what it's going to be about. So I actually have a colleague of ours who does wonderful work with narcissism, and that's where we really look at mentalization and MBT, and the work that Fonagy and Bateman did around narcissistic personality. And
what was the other modality that you just mentioned?
MBT is mentalization-based therapy. So it's all just understanding misunderstandings. That's the really basic version of what that means. But how do we connect to other and relate to other people and understand where they are and understand the misunderstandings in the space between us?
Got it.
It is, from my perspective, the way to address mental health. I love mentalization.
Yeah, you're a big fan of it.
I am a big fan, yeah.
Amazing.
Let's get back to we took a hard right there for a minute.
Went into a whole other episode almost.
Yeah. We're talking about ways to maybe work with it, right?
Work with the inner critic.
How do we address this inner critic?
We can't extract the inner critic, so we have to learn to work with them.
Well, again, it's not like anger, like anxiety, like any of these things. Let's not get rid of it. It's a phenomenon that happens. It is something that takes place. Let's be aware of it. Let's name it. Be aware of it. How do we work with it?
Right.
So step one, just catch yourself in the act. Here I go again. That's the critic talking.
Yes.
Separate it from yourself. If you catch it and name it, you're actually naming the thing that's happening. It's like saying, oh, name your anxiety.
Yeah.
You can name your anxiety Frank. Name your inner critic something else.
Right.
You can name it somebody that had an issue. Maybe they're the person who contributed to it. Oh, that's so-and-so talking again.
Right.
You know, how many people that listen to this be like, oh, there goes my mom again talking to me. There goes my dad again talking to me.
That's really useful.
There goes that coach again talking to me. Right? Don't make it your voice anymore.
Yeah.
Allow it to change voices. And it allows us to start making a separation, which is critical in this. Absolutely. We have to separate.
And you can learn to laugh at it.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
Laughing at something can often rob it of its power. So
yeah, that's a reframe, right? And you shift from I statements to my critic says.
Oh, externalizing it. Okay.
Yeah. Not I think this about myself, but the critical side of me says this. My critic says this. And since you've already named it and it's external, then you're in that process then of saying, well, no, I feel really good about myself, but my critic says this.
Right.
And then you have something to actually compare it against.
Yeah. And to distance yourself from it.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So you're not waking up in the morning saying, I failed already.
Right.
You're waking up in the morning going like, I'm waking up. Just make a statement of fact. I'm waking up. My inner critic is telling me I failed already and I'm behind. Well, what would the other side of that say?
Yeah.
We do have the whole angel
and devil.
That is, I keep thinking that it's like, the good cop, bad cop, angel, devil, whatever you want to say, on either side.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say, well, if you have to add the comparison, if the inner critic says this, or the critic says this, then what's the other side say?
Right.
What's the other voice on your shoulder say?
Yeah. Good point.
And it's important. So we're not fusing with that voice. We're trying to actually observe it.
Mm-hmm.
The same exercise happens when we work with couples. If you're working with somebody and there's an issue between two people, the issue is not about, oh, well, you do this and I do this and this causes me a problem. Separate the issue. Here's the problem outside of us.
Right.
How do we work together as a team to actually address the problem?
Mm-hmm.
Then the problem's not assigned a person.
Right.
We want to do the same thing with the inner critic. We want to remove it from being assigned to ourselves.
Right. Right.
It's no longer my inner critic. It is the critic.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's my own Siskel and Ebert.
What is our... we talked about the inner critic being a survival mechanism. What is our inner critic trying to protect?
It's avoiding rejection. It's preventing us from feeling embarrassed. Right? We don't want to feel shame. You mentioned the shame, the disappointment,
right.
all of these things before. That's really what we're avoiding here.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So maybe, Kenyon, what are some helpful questions we can ask ourselves?
One a helpful question we can ask when we come face to face with the inner critic is, what is my inner critic afraid of?
Mm-hmm.
And what's going to happen? What's the worst thing that can happen if I try this? If I learn to play the banjo? If I try to fly fish? If I just basically show up as myself in any given situation? What's the worst thing that can happen? What am I so afraid of? I love that question. I love that question for everything. Mm-hmm. What's the worst that's going to happen? Yeah.
Especially when we're dealing with anxiety, inner critic, all of these things.
Yeah.
What's the worst that's going to happen? You're not going to die.
Right.
And if you're not going to die, then it's not a problem.
That's a great reason.
Seriously, it's like everything else is pretty okay.
Yeah.
As long as it's not going to hurt us, maim us, or kill us.
Right.
We can also, I think maybe another helpful question too is like, is there a younger part of me that this voice is trying to defend? Is there a part of my history that this voice is protecting?
For sure.
Yeah, and that's something that would be helpful if people are asking that, or they're coming up with something and answer to that. Talk to somebody about it.
Yeah.
Reach out to a therapist. That is a great segue into maybe just talking with a therapist for a little bit. Doesn't have to be forever.
No, but inner child work, internal family systems work, IFS therapy, that can address that in a really direct way.
Yeah. The other thing is bringing in other kinder voices. Right. So tell me, like, what would some of those exercises be? We've talked about this with some of the negativity buffet.
How would you? Yeah. So what's the opposite of the inner critic? What would your kinder? Some people have the internal grandma or the internal avuncular, kindly grandfather, maybe.
Sure.
Who, what would your unk say? If they were more accurate about your, just your achievements and your value.
So you want to unk code yourself?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that. Elder code.
Yeah.
Elder code.
Elder
That's what
code,
you want to do,
dude. For real.
Oh. I hate that I have to talk this way.
You slipped right into it just beautifully. You've been overtaken by the times.
Yeah.
But what's a kinder way to talk to ourselves?
What would somebody you really trust or love say?
Right.
Instead? What would they say about this situation? Would they say the same awful thing about you? Probably not.
No.
And if they would, then maybe you need to reassess that relationship.
Yeah, maybe take out the trash there.
Yeah.
Clean out the closet.
Yeah.
Or, something that, if you're in recovery, you hear something in a meeting that sticks, write it down. Hold on to it.
Yeah.
Your therapist helps you with something, write it down. Hold on to it.
Absolutely. I love what you mentioned, Koshin and Chodo before, and some of the Zen practices and Dharma, and there's so many wonderful teachings and sayings and daily reflections, even just to address this exact thing.
Right.
How to accept, life and not and from a realistic perspective,
Right.
and not a critical one.
Taoism, Stoic philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely. Pick up a copy of the Tao of Stowe.
Exactly.
And check it out. So, Kenyon, I think in really reflecting on enforcing that an opposite process, we have to challenge that inner critic repeatedly, and really embrace some of the positive or some of the alternative ideas that we might be able to have. I think that it feels permanent. If we just reflect on this for a moment, the inner critic feels permanent, but it's part of our personality, but it's not. It's just a story that we've been writing it. It's been part of our story. And if we think of that narrative approach, every day is a blank page.
Right.
Every minute, every moment, every second, we are laying the words down on the paper in our story. If we have a choice over that. If I choose in the moment to start writing different words of my story down, it's going to be a different story.
Right.
It might be a really messed up chapter that I'm looking back on.
Right.
But what's so cool is when you get to see the journey of it and the character develop in the next chapter. And that's where we have more say than I think we often believe. And we have say over our inner critic.
Totally. Like Bilbo Baggins. He doesn't want to leave the Shire at first.
That's right. But he has to.
He has to, and then he rises to the occasion.
He did. The critic won't disappear fully.
No.
That's okay. But it doesn't have to run your life.
No. That's the thing. We don't have to listen. We don't have to listen to the voice. We can notice it. We can laugh at it. We can thank it for sharing and invite it to kindly shut up.
Get lost. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you for sharing.
That's right.
Shut the F up.
Yeah. Hey, just can you define for me really quickly humility versus self-attack?
Absolutely. Humility is about accounting honestly for our strengths and our limits, our weaknesses. Self-attack is all about our weaknesses, our limitations, and it erases whatever strengths that we've accounted for in the past. So humility is an honest assessment, an inventory, if you want to use recovery language.
Yeah.
Our assets, our strengths, and our deficiencies. Self-attack, you have no strengths. You are only weaknesses, limitations, mistakes.
Got it. Externalizing is moving from I am this thing to my critic says this thing.
Right.
And we see the voice as other, right? We see it outside of us rather than it being our voice.
That's to externalize it, yeah.
Yeah.
Which we're recommending.
Absolutely. We highly recommend externalizing this.
Thanks for listening to Right Here, a podcast partnership with WPKN 89.5 FM in Bridgeport, streaming online at WPKN.org and via our free listening apps. If today's conversation resonated with you, we encourage you to follow, review, and share Right Here with anyone you think would appreciate it.
We'll be back soon with another conversation designed to bring a little more light to the human condition. I'm Christopher Mooney.
And I'm Kenyon Phillips.
Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Right Here is for educational and informational purposes only and is not a substitute for therapy, diagnosis, or treatment. If you're experiencing a mental health crisis, please contact a local emergency service or your trusted mental health professional.